All right, so our next task that we're given is when we have right triangles, okay, sometimes we have an unknown side. Now, we can't use Pythagorean theorem here because we actually don't have the hypotenuse or another other side as well. So we're going to use our trig functions. Remember that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. When you see a problem where it gives you an angle, a side, and asks for an angle, the first thing you do, okay, is decide on function. Okay, so the first thing I do is I look at this one. It gives me 64. Okay, what is the relationship of x to 64? It's my opposite. What about the 11? The 11 is the adjacent. So if I have opposite and adjacent, I'm looking at using t for tangent. So I'm going to have tangent function. Okay. So once I have my tangent function, I'm going to put that over here actually. Tangent. Plug things in. So I'll have tangent of 64. Okay, we'll put that in parentheses because it's a function action of that. So when you type it into a calculator, hit the tangent button and then the 64, close parentheses, and it equals opposite over hypotenuse. So my opposite again is x, not hypotenuse, opposite over adjacent, which is 11. All right, so we end up with this problem. Tangent of 64 is x over 11. Now, the next step we're going to do is actually type in your calculator, which I posted a scientific calculator on the warm-up. Tangent of 64. So you hit the tangent button, 64, parentheses, and we will get 2.0503. So I get 2.05 equals x over 11. Our last step is to figure out what x is. So I'm going to say, hey, this is divided by 11. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 11. So 11 times 2.05 is 22.55, and these 11s cancel. That's x. And you're done. Okay? So it's really not so bad. So we're going to decide on our function, plug things in, and our last step, solve for x. Again, decide on function, plug things in, solve for x. Let's try the second problem in red. Okay, so again, we're looking at a function. This one gives me 29 degrees and a length of 29. Now make sure that 29 degrees on the inside, that's your angle, okay? Not the same thing as the 29 on the outside. That's a side length, okay? So if they gave me 29, what's the relationship of 29 in this triangle? That's the hypotenuse. Okay, that's your hypotenuse. It's across from your right angle. Okay, hypotenuse across from right angle. And this one must be your adjacent. Okay, because it's right next to your angle. The opposite is not here, and we don't need it. All right, so which one has adjacent and hypotenuse? RCAH, so ca. Okay, cosine is adjacent of hypotenuse. So we're going to decide the function is cosine. Okay. Plug in your degree, 29 degrees equals, okay, adjacent over hypotenuse, that's going to be x over 29. Okay, so now we're going to solve. Okay, so solving this one, again, you have to use a scientific calculator and type in cosine 29, close parentheses, enter, and we should get, that's a small number. All right, that's all right. We get 0.874 5 equals x over 29. Right? And just like last time, what we're going to do is multiply by that denominator again. So multiply both sides by 29. Okay, it's a 9, not a 4, I promise. Okay, so times 29. And I get 25.36 equals x, and I am done. That is your final answer. Alrighty, one more. Make sure I wrote this problem down right, or else we're going to be sad. Nope, it's the same. Okay, so this one should be a little easier because we set it up. Very similar to the previous one. Sorry I forgot to include a sign example, but that would just be where you have opposite over hypotenuse. And this one, again, we're given an angle. It's 41 degrees. Okay, and we're given the hypotenuse. And we're given the adjacent. So if I've gotten hypotenuse adjacent, I'm going to use cosine again. Okay, so let me just scooch this a little closer to me. Again, secret cat, darkness. All right, so we're going to have cosine of 41 will equal x over 32. Type in cosine of 41. Get 0.75, 0.755 equals x over 32. Multiply both sides by 32. And we get 24.15 equals x. All right, and that's how you do these problems, okay? Each time what you do is you pick your trig function first based on what you're given, okay? So I'm given an angle, and I decide what kind of sides I have, and that tells me to use sine, cosine, or tangent, okay? And after that, I choose my function, plug in my angle, equals my fraction, plug this part onto the calculator, and then multiply both sides by the denominator, and you end up with a number. Okay? Make sure your number is reasonable. For instance, on these two, the hypotenuse is 32 on this one. 32 is the longest side. The hypotenuse is always the long side, so my answer is going to have to be less than 32. Okay? All right. Good job. Good luck.